A king lies dead, struck down not in battle, but within his own bedchamber. The official verdict points to a tiny spider, a hidden creature whose venom ended a royal life. This is the strange and unsettling mystery of the king, killed by a hidden spider. Was it a freak accident of nature, or a clever murder disguised as one? By the end of this investigation, you will have all the evidence to decide for yourself what truly happened in that shadowy room. We will examine the science behind the fatal bite and uncover the whispered conspiracies of a court filled with ambition and deceit. How does a story so small manage to conceal a secret so large? His name was King John I of Aragon, a ruler whose life was defined by the clash of steel and the weight of a crown. He reigned over a kingdom in what is now modern-day Spain during the 14th century, a time of fierce battles and fragile alliances. His significance stretched far beyond his own borders as he fought to secure his lineage and expand his influence across the Mediterranean. Yet for all his power on the battlefield, his story would take its strangest turn not in war, but in the quiet of his own chambers. The year was 1395, and the place was the royal castle at Foix. The king had fallen ill swiftly and mysteriously. Court physicians rushed to his side, their initial reactions a mixture of confusion and growing dread. They noted his fever, his pain, and the rapid decline of a once vigorous man. The official cause of death delivered to a stunned court was a bite from a hidden spider. This was an almost unthinkable conclusion. A monarch's demise was expected to be grand, a result of war, plague, or divine judgment. To be felled by a tiny, lurking creature was seen as both undignified and deeply unsettling. It was a death that seemed to belong to a peasant in a field, not a king in his bed. This bizarre verdict immediately cast a shadow of suspicion over the entire affair, turning a personal tragedy into a historical enigma that would whisper through the centuries. But what kind of spider could possibly bring down a king? The historical accounts point to a specific creature, one whose very name evokes a sense of danger, the Mediterranean black widow. Known to science as Latroctus treticimgatatus, this spider is a close and equally venomous cousin of the infamous black widows found in the Americas. Imagine a spider about the size of a large pea, its body a glossy, deep black adorned with 13 distinctive red spots. It is a strikingly beautiful yet profoundly dangerous animal. This arachnid prefers dry, sheltered places, building its messy, irregular webs in rock crevices, wood piles, and the quiet, undisturbed corners of old stone buildings, places not unlike a medieval castle. Its presence in the region was not an anomaly at all. It was a native resident, perfectly at home in the environment. So the question shifts from how a foreign creature got in to how a common, though reclusive, spider found its way into the king's most private quarters. The true weapon of this tiny assassin was its venom, a complex cocktail of neurotoxins designed to subdue its insect prey. For a human, the bite itself might feel like a mere pinprick, often going unnoticed. But within an hour, the real horror begins. The venom attacks the nervous system, causing excruciating muscle cramps that can contort the entire body. Profuse sweating, a raging fever, and a crushing feeling of tightness in the chest would have overwhelmed the king. His physicians would have witnessed a man in agonizing pain, his body convulsing, his breathing becoming labored. For an older individual, already weakened by illness or stress, the physiological shock could easily prove fatal. Modern arachnologists confirm that while deaths from such bites are rare today with advanced medical care, in the 14th century, with no antivenom and limited understanding, a bite from this particular spider was a genuine and terrifying threat. The science, therefore, makes the official story chillingly plausible. A hidden spider in the royal bed, a single, nearly imperceptible bite, and a chain of physiological events that could indeed have ended a life. This evidence forces us to confront a difficult reality. Perhaps this was not a murder plot, but a simple, tragic, and brutally random encounter with the deadliest resident of his own kingdom. Yet the sheer plausibility of the spider's venom only makes the whispers of conspiracy more compelling. If a natural death could so perfectly mimic murder, it would provide the perfect disguise for a killer. The court of Aragon was a nest of ambition, and a king's sudden death always creates a vacuum of power that someone is eager to fill. Who stood to gain from John I's demise? Suspicion naturally falls upon his brother, Martin I, who ascended to the throne immediately after. Succession is the most powerful motive in any royal court. Martin was a seasoned military leader with his own ambitions, and while no direct evidence points to his involvement, his rapid consolidation of power following the tragedy has fueled speculation for centuries. Perhaps it was not the king's brother, but a powerful noble faction dissatisfied with John's policies. Medieval politics were a deadly game where a disgruntled baron or a rival from a neighboring kingdom might see an opportunity in a fabricated accident. A tiny, almost invisible spider bite leaves no dagger to be traced, no telltale signs of a struggle, only a body and a story that is too strange to question without proof. Historical documents from the era are frustratingly silent on any official inquest, which in itself is telling. The lack of a rigorous investigation suggests that those in power may have had little interest in probing too deeply, content to let the bizarre natural explanation stand. Imagine the scene in the castle's shadowy corridors after the king's death, courtiers exchanging nervous glances, the swift realignment of loyalties, the silent understanding that the old order has passed. A carefully administered poison could have produced symptoms chillingly similar to that spider's venom, a fact a clever assassin could have exploited. The spider story is almost too convenient, a ready-made alibi provided by nature itself. This is the heart of the enduring mystery. We are left with two equally unsettling possibilities. A random, undignified twist of fate that brought a monarch low, or a cold, calculated act of treason so perfectly executed that its truth died with the king. To solve a 600-year-old murder, we must first examine the evidence with a detective's cold eye. Our investigation begins not with whispers, but with the written word. The primary historical sources that mention the spider are few, and they are frustratingly late. The earliest account appears decades after the king's death, written by chroniclers who were not present in the castle at Foix. This distance immediately raises a red flag. Are these records factual reports, or are they repeating a court-sanctioned story, a convenient piece of folklore that had already solidified into accepted history? The biases of these medieval writers are also a critical factor. A chronicler's job was often to glorify a ruling dynasty or to explain divine will. A king's death by spider could be framed as a bizarre act of God, a strange and humbling punishment, which might have been a more palatable narrative for the court than a politically explosive assassination. The silence from immediate, first-hand documents is deafening. Where are the frantic notes from the court physicians detailing the bite mark? Where is the official inquest that should have followed the death of a monarch? This lack of contemporary paper trail is in itself a piece of circumstantial evidence pointing toward a cover-up. Modern science offers another avenue for investigation, but it too leads to a dead end. The remains of King John I have not been subjected to modern toxicological analysis. Even if they were, the traces of most medieval poisons or the specific proteins in spider venom would have completely degraded over the centuries. We cannot exhume the body and find a chemical smoking gun. This forces our investigation to rely on deductive reasoning. Let us consider the logistics of the spider's attack. How did it get to the king? Medieval castles, even royal bedchambers, were far from sterile environments. Stone walls were filled with cracks, rushes on the floor harbored all manner of small life, and firewood was brought in from the outside, a common hiding place for the Black Widow. The king's security was designed to stop a man with a dagger, not a creature the size of a fingernail. It is entirely plausible that a spider, seeking shelter or pursuing prey, found its way into the royal bed. The bite itself would have been a fleeting sensation, perhaps dismissed as a prick from a loose thread in the linen. The subsequent symptoms, however, align almost perfectly with the effects of latrodectism, the medical condition caused by widow spider venom. This match is so precise it is deeply unsettling. A clever poisoner of the era would have known about deadly plants like hemlock or nightshade, but could they have replicated the unique and agonizing suite of symptoms caused by a specific spider's neurotoxin? It seems an unlikely coincidence. We are left weighing two conflicting probabilities. On one side, we have a biologically plausible, though statistically rare, accident of nature. On the other, we have a politically motivated murder that exploited that very plausibility as the perfect disguise. The evidence board is a mess of contradictions. The historical sources are unreliable, the physical evidence is gone, and the motive is clear yet unproven. The scales might tip based on a single haunting question. Which is more likely, a freak encounter with a hidden spider or a perfectly timed assassination that mimicked one so exactly that it has fooled history for centuries? The answer depends on whether you see a web woven by nature or one spun by a human hand, so we are left at the end of our investigation, standing before two doors. Behind one lies a simple, cruel twist of fate. King John I of Aragon, a powerful medieval ruler, was brought down not by a rival's army, but by the venom of a hidden Mediterranean black widow. The science confirms this was entirely possible, a tragic accident in an age without antivenom. Behind the other door lies a shadowy conspiracy, a courtly murder disguised as a freak accident. His brother Martin, who gained the throne, or a faction of discontented nobles, could have used the spider's known venom as the perfect blueprint for a poison, leaving no weapon and a story too strange to challenge. Centuries have passed and the definitive proof has crumbled to dust. No modern analysis of his remains can provide a chemical answer. This mystery endures because it pits the humbling power of nature against the dark cunning of human ambition. It forces us to wonder if the smallest, most ordinary things can conceal the largest of secrets. A king's life ended, and history only offers us a question mark. Now the final judgment rests with you. Look at the evidence, weigh the probabilities, and decide for yourself. Do you see a random encounter with a hidden spider, or a brilliantly executed assassination that has fooled us for 600 years? Share your verdict in the comments below. If you were captivated by this journey into the shadows of history, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and join us as we uncover more enigmas from the past.